Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Well, just under 24 hours to go and the focus has completely shifted to government formation and tomorrow's swearing in. Who will Mr. Modi's new ministers be? Well, there's huge speculation over whether Amit Shah will move to the government, and that if he does, what would that mean for the party, for the BJP that he has so successfully headed in the last two general elections? What we are also hearing now is a last-minute twist as far as Arun Jaitley is concerned. He has opted out, writing to the Prime Minister, citing his health, saying that he cannot be part of this government. But Mr. Modi is at Mr. Jaitley's residence as we speak, trying to convince him apparently to change his mind and be part of the government. These pictures of the Prime Minister arriving at Arun Jaitley's home just a few minutes earlier. What is the twist in the tail there? We'll tell you about that in just a moment. It's going to be a mega swearing in. 7,000 guests are going to be attending, world leaders from the BIMSTEC countries. And that also brings us to the second part of our debate tonight. What will Mr. Modi's focus be as far as his foreign policy is concerned in his second term? Will we see an even more muscular approach with Pakistan, or will Mr. Modi surprise us and mend ties with Imran Khan? Both prime ministers are going to be in the same room next month on the sidelines of a multilateral summit. Will Mr. Modi talk to Imran Khan? Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. But first, let's go across to all our reporters in different parts of the national capital tonight that has suddenly been set abuzz as we get ready for tomorrow's swearing in. Nobody really knows what that list of ministers is going to be. We can only speculate as to some of the senior names. We don't know the portfolios, but there's certainly a lot of political activity underway. My colleague Sanket Upadhyay first. Sanket, what are you hearing? The bigger picture first. And also this twist, as far as Arun Jaitley is concerned, why is Mr. Modi, trying to get him to change his mind when Mr. Jaitley has clearly cited that he's not well?
Well, it's a last-minute effort, perhaps, to convince Mr. Jaitley if he can stay on. Remember, it's a crucial phase for Narendra Modi himself, and he doesn't want anything to go wrong. He needs experience by his side, and who better than Arun Jaitley to lead a ministry like finance? He's the one who actually knew the inner machinations of Delhi. It was not Narendra Modi in his first tenure. So obviously, the Prime Minister thinks that if Mr. Jaitley can, health permitting, he should stay on for Narendra Modi 2.0. But I think Mr. Arun Jaitley has very, very categorically mentioned in his letter that he would like to be excused from this particular cabinet at this present moment. So there is a rider over there at this present moment. It will be very interesting to see whether Mr. Jaitley is able to convince Modi or Modi convinces Mr. Jaitley.
Well, let me just go across to Himanshu, who is at Amit Shah's residence this evening, and Neeta is at the Prime Minister's residence, and Arvind is actually at Arun Jaitley's residence. Before that, Himanshu, to you, Amit Shah had a 5-hour-long meeting with the Prime Minister yesterday. There was another 3-hour-long meeting that took place today, and we also saw top RSS functionaries meeting the leaders. Are you picking up anything at all about sort of the broad outlines of what this government could be, or are they just keeping everything close to their chest?
Well, what we do know is, Nidhi, is the fact that a broad formula has in fact been chalked out by Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah. We are hearing that both Shiv Sena and Janata Dal United, Shiv Sena has 18 MPs, Janata Dal United has 16 MPs. They are expected to be given one cabinet berth and one MOS rank berth. What we have also heard is that Sukhbir Singh Badal is expected to be given a cabinet rank in the government. Shiromani Akali Dal, of course, a very key ally of the BJP in Punjab. We are also hearing that Lok Jan Shakti Party leader Ram Vilas Paswan will again be inducted as a cabinet minister in the new Modi government. So I can say that a blueprint has been prepared as far as allies are concerned. But who from BJP will be given what in the government? There is suspense in the corridors of power here is definitely growing. In first time in my life, in my professional career, I less than 24 hours are left for the swearing in, and we just have no names being even discussed in the newsrooms, in the corridors of power, and everyone is asking everyone else whether they have heard anything new about who will be inducted in the government or not. But we do know is the fact that the last round of consultations are going on. Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister Nipendra Mishra and Additional Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister PK Mishra, both of them have had a very long meeting with Amit Shah. These are two most important aides of Prime Minister Modi, and if they are meeting BJP President, one can safely say that the process of formation of the new government is at a very crucial stage. Perhaps the final fine-tuning is being done with regard to the kind of government Narendra Modi wants. But beyond that, I think we'll have to wait and see whether till late today we'll get some more information on this. But there is speculation that Prime Minister is expected to have a breakfast meeting that he had in 2014 as well. Nidhi.
Right, and Arvind, you're at Arun Jaitley's home. The Prime Minister has been there for the last few minutes, and I believe the entire media has descended there. There's a lot of interest to see if he can get Mr. Jaitley to change his mind.
Hello.
Arvind, can you hear me?
Yeah, Nidhi, we saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi entering Arun Jaitley's residence around 8:45 p.m. and the meeting is still underway at number 2 Krishnan Menon Marg residence of Arun Jaitley. So it is a very important development because today morning Arun Jaitley made his letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi public where he cited his ill health as a reason that he can't be part of the future government, and he also said that he needed time for his treatment. So it's a very important meeting whether we have to see whether this is just a courtesy meeting or whether Prime Minister Narendra Modi will in fact convince Arun Jaitley to be part of the government, because we know that Arun Jaitley has played a very important role in the last government. He has been the troubleshooter, he has been the go-to man for every problem the government faced. So we have to see if at all Arun Jaitley insists that he can't be part of the future government, what role Arun Jaitley will be given in the next government, because Arun Jaitley has been a very important, he has played a very important role in the last government. Also apart from Arun Jaitley, if Arun Jaitley is not part of the government, so who will be the next finance minister is also a very important question that awaits answer. Also External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has also cited her ill health and she also did not contest in the Lok Sabha elections. So we have to wait and watch if at all even she would be opting out of the government. So we have to wait and watch whether who will be the next External Affairs Minister also. So at last minute hectic parleys are underway, but one thing is sure that the Union Cabinet, the Union Council of Minister list is not yet finalized, and what we are hearing is that they would be sending the list to the Rashtrapati Bhavan only tomorrow post 10 to 11 p.m. Nidhi, 11 a.m. Nidhi.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll have those. We'll have some idea tomorrow because a lot of the new ministers are going to be having tea with the Prime Minister tomorrow morning. Thanks to all of you for joining us. And let's go straight across to our panel tonight. Jyoti Malhotra, editor of National and Strategic Affairs with The Print, is with us. Pooja Mehra, senior economic journalist and author. Senior journalist Smita Gupta is with us. We have Satyaprakash Mishra of the JDU, an ally of the BJP. And Vineet Goenka, who's a political analyst and supporter of the BJP, also joining us here. Well, Jyoti, let me take this to you first. The importance of what we're seeing on the screen, firstly, of the Prime Minister at Arun Jaitley's residence tonight. It shows you clearly how important Arun Jaitley has been to Mr. Modi in the last 5 years. Unfortunately, he's also unwell. So there is some indication that we're getting from sources that he could be made a minister without portfolio. Do you think that that is a possibility?
I don't think we can second guess the Prime Minister, Nidhi, but you're absolutely right that Arun Jaitley was hugely important when Prime Minister Modi, if you remember, in 2014, when he came to Delhi, he was completely new to Delhi. He had no idea about the labyrinthine Byzantine corridors of New Delhi, whether it was power or any, the power of the capital. But it was Arun Jaitley who sort of made it easier for him and pointed out all the sort of differentials, if you like. So I think, and then he was made both defense minister and finance minister. So he held two very, very important portfolios. And I think it will be a big blow for the Prime Minister if he doesn't join the cabinet. Clearly, he has cited health concerns. And I think even for the press, for the media, he was somebody who was a go-to man. He explained things. He he analyzed things really well, put things into perspective. So I think we will all miss him.
Well, Vineet Goenka, a lot of people are also asking today that if Mr. Jaitley has written, he has written this letter saying that he's too unwell to continue. Why even try to persuade him? Is that fair to him, given his health? But I'm sure, the Prime Minister has his reasons.
If you see, experience and also that knowledge which he has, the talent which he has, that probably will help the government in a lot of perspective. Many times what happens is it's not your health, it's your thinking capability, it's your mental health which counts a lot. Minister is not supposed to run around and cover the geography, but he is supposed to do something which will help the geography. And I think Mr. Jaitley has that capabilities. So if he continues, it will benefit the country, and he should.
Well, you think he should? Pooja, you know, you've been covering Mr. Jaitley, you've been covering the economics ministry, the ministries for so long. What would it be like without him as finance minister? What do you think his legacy is going to be in that role? Because it's been so crucial. It's a crucial portfolio.
I think Mr. Jaitley was the voice for reforms in Mr. Modi's cabinet. Very often he faced a lot of resistance, and his plans did not did not fructify. But still, he was the one who pushed, probably one of the very few ministers in Mr. Modi's cabinet who lent weight to a reformist agenda. His legacy, I don't think GST would have been possible without Mr. Jaitley as the finance minister, regardless of the fact that it did not turn out how he had originally planned for it. There was a lot of give and take that had to be done with the states, and it did come out to be quite messy. But without his persuasion powers and without his ability to build consensus with state finance ministers, I don't think a GST would have been possible. I would also say that he was a sounding board in many ways for the Prime Minister. Ultimately, what he proposed was many times not accepted, but at least he was able to put across alternative points of views to the Prime Minister which would not otherwise reach him, and I think in decision making in government that is quite important. I think the negative side of his legacy would be the unprecedented bitterness between the finance ministry and the RBI governor, which ultimately led to Urjit Patel's exit.
Those controversies. But Smita Gupta, I mean, your thoughts on the fact that here is a man saying, I'm not well, let me go, and the Prime Minister saying, no, stay. What do you think of that?
Well, as both Jyoti and Pooja pointed out, he was a very crucial figure in the first term of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, largely because he was this Lutyens insider who knew how politics worked, apart from the other reasons. See, there are two problems with this government. One is it's very short of talent, and Mr. Jaitley was certainly one of the more talented figures in the last government. However, we don't know exactly what the Prime Minister is discussing with Mr. Jaitley, because if you look at Mr. Jaitley's letter, the one that he's written today, the last line he says, I am available for any other unstructured job. So it's possible that it could be a ministry without portfolio, or it could be that he could come in, he could be consulted on crucial issues. Because actually here, the oath of secrecy also comes in. There are many things that only a minister can be told if somebody is outside. So I don't know, maybe they are trying to create a halfway kind of situation.
Some arrangement. Well, let's just expand the scope of this. And Satyaprakash Mishra ji, you're from the JDU. What are the JDU's expectations, from how the allies should be represented in this Council of Ministers?
Definitely equality, when there is an ally of 21 political party, everybody should be given equal chance in the governance, and there should be a kind of equality and respect. Second thing, I definitely want to comment on Jaitley's letter. One of the most talented person inside BJP who only does know the functionality of the governance, not at all. He actually handles every political party of NDA with equal kind of respect. He does know well how to handle ally as well. So when persuasion of Prime Minister reached to the Jaitley's house, we hope that he will be definitely inside the government, and we all wish him a good health and the future course of action. His all future course of action will be remembered in India. His contribution to the last government will be definitely a remarkable change in the modern approach of government system he brought inside of the government. And JDU, as far as the concern in this government, definitely you will see when we were part of NDA in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime, this time we will see a kind of face inside this government that everything is done what the modern government system is labeled as in whole over world. So we cannot speculate now who is going to be the face inside.
Any portfolios that you would like? If I could
definitely
ask you to put your neck on the chopping block.
No, we can't comment on that. Basically, whatever it is Prime Minister's prerogative.
Of course, it is.
Whatever Prime Minister thinks fit for.
But let's talk about the other big story emerging from this government formation, Jyoti, which will Amit Shah be part of the government? What are the implications for the BJP if he does move for the government, to the government? Because he is the starring figure who has been so successfully heading the party organization now, winning election after election for them. Do you think that the party would want to let him go?
Well, that's a $1 million question, Nidhi, that he has been the anchor of the party, and all the, if India is saffron, well, then there's one man responsible for it apart from the Prime Minister, and that's Amit Shah. So in a sense, if he moves to the government, it will be a big blow to the party, but I'm sure the BJP, which is a cadre-based party.
That's the Prime Minister leaving Mr. Jaitley's home now. Just under half an hour he was there, yeah.
No, so the BJP, which is a cadre-based party, and I think they do have a second line of leadership. So I think they must have thought this through very well. And in his second term, I do see the Prime Minister sort of reaching out also. He has the stature of an international leader, but he likes to meet, he likes to travel abroad and meet other sort of global leaders. So I think if Amit Shah joins the government, he will be in charge. Let's not, there's no two questions about that. Whether he's Home Minister, Finance Minister, Defence Minister, whatever it is, whatever portfolio the Prime Minister gives him, he will be the number 2 to the Prime Minister. That's
absolutely
very, very clear.
And so let me indulge in a little bit of speculation now about who could possibly get what ministry, and I'm not talking about WhatsApp forwards here. And by the way, there is a WhatsApp forward that has gone viral, and please everybody who's got that delete it because it's wrong, as most things on WhatsApp are. But Smita Gupta, if you had to hazard a couple of guesses on Amit Shah's possible role in this government, is it going to be, you think, home or finance? Are these the two top sort of ministries you think that he would certainly get, one or the other?
I think home, finance or defense. See, for finance, people are also talking about Piyush Goyal. Now, I don't know whether that, but some people feel that he would be, he has an experience as a minister in the Gujarat government where he held a variety of portfolios. And Mr. Amit Shah's admirers say that he has a sort of common sense approach to economics, whatever that means. But he has dealt with this issue.
You also have agencies then like the ED and all under you.
But I will stick my neck out and say that I think he will join the government and you will have a new BJP president.
So you think he will join the government?
Yeah.
Who do you think would be a good finance minister, Pooja?
If I were the Prime Minister and I was to pick from the given talent in this government, then I will pick Jayant Sinha as my first choice.
Really, Jayant Sinha? Okay.
I will, if Jayant Sinha is not available for some reason, I would pick Nirmala Sitharaman.
For finance?
For finance is number 2. Is my number 2 choice. And if those two are not available, then anybody is okay.
Then anyone. But those are interesting choices. Why Jayant Sinha?
I think Jayant Sinha has been MOS Finance earlier. I thought he did a good job. He's in tune with what is required. He's a good face and a good communicator to present to the world. Finance involves a lot of dealing with the world. He knows the world of finance and economy pretty well. He's a reformist. He's a pro-reforms person, and I think reforms need a champion in this government. And I think until before he was moved out of finance, he shared a good rapport with the Prime Minister. He shared good rapport definitely with the team in the finance ministry. And those are all his plus points.
Well, I'm glad Pooja actually stuck her neck out and gave some names. And Jyoti, I'm coming to you next, and you know which ministry I'll ask you about. But Vineet Goenka
I'm not
first.
answering that question.
You can give us 3 choices equally, instead of 1, 2 and 3. But Vineet Goenka, the implications of Amit Shah moving to the government, how do you think that would play out for the BJP?
Before this, can I react to
yeah, sure,
they made very nice points, and one of the point was made by Smita ji that BJP is short of talent, this government is short of talent. Let me tell you, it is full of talent. You don't get re-elected with this kind of majority if you are short of talent.
Ministerial talent.
I think the people have judged it. Number 2, when we talk about any organization or anybody can move. Fortunately, in this country, we have 130 crore people who all have capability to lead. So best person, and it's not always a person who has got elected right now would lead. We have seen in the last government, couple of people were inducted and then they were brought to the upper house. So there are people, and whether A shifts remains in a party or A shifts to the government depends on only two people, and we know that it's the Prime Minister and the party president.
I'm indulging in pure speculation because I have a show to do. Come and speculate with me, na? Just
so then I can give.
We have to wait till
In that case, let me strengthen your speculation. Then Amit ji will have 3 ministries.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why not
Can I
4?
name it?
Yeah,
Because
please do.
according to so it will be seva, karya, or kartavya,
Oh.
service, work,
Wah.
and responsibility. Now, whether that is inside the government or whether that is in the party, that you don't worry. But
No,
he
but
will have these 3 work always with him.
I'm only asking whether that is something you think that the party would the party be reluctant to let go of him, is my question. I mean, would the party organization be the same without Amit Shah heading it?
You know what I always liked about Bharatiya Janata Party, and that is what people appreciate. As you see from 1980, post Janata Party, and not a single president was related to each other, be it be Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Advani ji, be it be Thackeray Saab, be it be Rajnath ji, Nitin Gadkari or Amit Shah. None of them were related to each other. Each of them have come out from their cadre. Amit Shah ji or Nitin Gadkari ji and all, they have posted posters on their wall, and they came from the lowest of the unit, which is the ward unit, and they have grown up here. The party has met laders of people who can come out, and I never knew
So you don't
Amit
think it's
ji's name or
dependent?
Nitin ji's name 15 years back.
So you don't think it's dependent on one person?
And
Jyoti-
at the same time, Amit ji, one thing you have to accept, this general election he would have won, but in the 5 years he strengthened the party across with the places where we were told that ki aap to outsider hai. So that, and number 2, as
So they're
rightly
not
said by
dependent on
Satyaprakash ji, you know, the skill of interacting with all the friends, and friends are not only the people who are current NDA partners. There may be other people who are non-aligned and who would like to be part
Okay,
tomorrow.
Jyoti.
No, I'd just like to pick up on Satyaprakashji's point, which is that, you know, in the first term of the Modi government, you had somebody like Arun Jaitley who coordinated and spoke to the allies. I mean, Nitish Kumar, for example, even when Nitish was not an ally of the BJP, he would come to Arun Jaitley and, you know, they would sort of have dinner together. The point I'm making is that here was a gentleman who reached out across the political spectrum.
I gave you one example more.
And you know,
complete your point.
yeah.
Just
So I think in this Modi in the second term of Prime Minister Modi's government, you will need somebody who will do that, because the Prime Minister is obviously not going to be able to do everything. So who is that man going to be, or woman? Who is that person going to be? And I think that will be really crucial for the success of this government, is to keep people together.
Mr.
When the
Mishra.
Fadnavis government was taking oath, Uddhav Thackeray wanted to not to attend the oath ceremony, but Jaitley persuaded him to attend the point of time the oath ceremony. So the quality of Jaitley, I'm not telling that nobody else have or has. You know,
But that it's unique.
It is proved quality since his student days of politics, when he was in Delhi University president and he became a great lawyer. Then, you know, he was made minister without having any post. He was not the member of Rajya Sabha in the Lok Sabha first time 13 days government of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He was the first man who took oath as a minister, and that point of time we were in college and we came to know who is Arun Jaitley. Since then, he is handling all the affairs of the BJP so lucidly, so peacefully, that he has no any controversial charge against him. Do you know any controversial charge against of Jaitley, either by any ally or anyone in political, Indian political system? No. So Prime Minister reaching to the Jaitley's home is a clear message that he wants him inside the cabinet, whether without portfolio or with portfolio. Whatever he will do inside the government, that will be the best of this time. He requires inside the government that the Prime Minister is
That
giving the
you've
message.
been very clear about. So Jyoti, now that question. Who do you think would be the foreign minister, or who do you think is best placed to be the foreign minister? Do you think Sushma Swaraj could continue and become a member of the Rajya Sabha? Maybe?
That's not a bad suggestion, because Sushma Swaraj was a very, very effective foreign minister. Although, as we know, the Prime Minister takes enormous interest in foreign affairs. You also had a very, very active national security advisor, Ajit Doval. In fact, it was on the whole Balakot strikes that supposedly were masterminded by Mr. Doval and the Prime Minister, of course, because nobody would have done it without his permission. But it was on the back of that this election was fought, and a large amount of its success could be attributed to that. But as far as Sushma Swaraj is concerned, she could be brought into the Rajya Sabha. That's one possibility. But I would also say that it doesn't. So in a sense, I think you have you have a small ministry. The foreign ministry is a small one. You have good people who run it. But there is the Prime Minister, so I'm not sure.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Nidhi.
No, I mean, I'm asking this again. Speculation: will Nirmala Sitharaman be Foreign Minister? Could it be Smriti Irani?
I think Nirmala Sitharaman.
Smriti Irani is the other big person that we have to talk about here.
Smriti Irani is the giant killer of this election.
Exactly, she deserves a good portfolio.
Yeah, but I think she would be, I think she would be good in any ministry. But I think Nirmala Sitharaman, because she's done defense, and defense in a sense is like the other face of foreign affairs, and they're both
more likely to be her.
They work very closely together.
Yeah.
Who knows whether she's going to be or not? But I think Nirmala Sitharaman is very bright, very capable, also from GNU, and they produce very, very smart and very capable people.
That was for you, Vineet ji.
Yeah, of course. There is a very good organization.
No, that's just on a lighter note. So, Smita, just a final question then, on Smriti Irani. The fact is, yes, she's the giant killer. And obviously, she's going to, I mean, I would assume, get a good portfolio in this government. She's actually had a mixed track record, frankly, when she's been minister. Whether it was in INB or HRD, those tenures both ended rather controversially. And it was a much quieter tenure in textiles, right? So, this time, however, one does expect that she would get a good portfolio.
I don't know. The general sense of talking to some people is that she won't get one of the top 4 jobs, but she'll certainly get a bump up, maybe to a major economic ministry.
Okay, would you like to name it?
Some people talk about petroleum or something like that. Some major economic ministry.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you all for indulging me with this speculation, because tomorrow at this time, the good thing is we'll at least know who's being sworn in, and then we can continue to speculate more until we know the portfolios. So thank you to Vineet Goenka ji and to Satyaprakash ji for joining us.